Hello,
Hey,
hello. Hi, everyone. This is Dave
hey.
and Roxanne.
Welcome to another episode of
It's
It's
a
a
new
New
day.
Day,
It's
It's
a
a
new
New You.
you.
If this is the first time you're tuning into this episode, we do this episode once, sometimes over 3 times per week. And the goal of this episode is to encourage you, inspire you that if you had a tough day yesterday, there's always a new day to become a new you, to become all that God created you to be.
Yeah, so we're currently right now at our home and in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So let us know where you're tuning in from. We always love to know how global we are in this community.
All right, so every time we do this new news, we always phrase it in a statement or a question. And today,
Today, it's a statement sharing with you that we used to think working harder at our job was the key until we learned this.
yes, this simple but mind-blowing information. It's a classic. We love this because this is the if there's one thing we did right in our journey, in our entrepreneur journey, it's this. It's a very small edge, we call it. It's called a slight edge that we always talk about. That we failed in a lot of businesses, but throughout that journey, we never stopped doing this, and
Mhm.
this is what allowed us to be here today. And you're probably wondering, what is it? What is it, right? And it came from Jim Rohn, right?
Yes. He talks about to work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
The first time you listen to that, you're like, what does that really mean to work harder on yourself? Isn't it like easy to work hard on yourself? Like how do you do that, right? Do you like sleep in more? Do you relax more? What does that mean, work harder on yourself?
Mhm.
That's what we're gonna dive in today because it's a small edge. You may not see the difference right away, and that's typically what really is what happens to what something if you want to build something incredible, something great, it requires consistency, persistence over the long haul, and then you see the results. So what does it mean to work harder on yourself? Is to work on you, your
Yeah.
character, your habits. And how do you do that? And at first it's like, what does it mean to work harder on yourself? What does that mean to you?
I think it's what it means like to work harder on ourselves is to really, discipline our mind, discipline the way we think, and how do you do that is like really making the time to wake up in the morning
Yeah.
maybe an hour earlier than we usually do so that so that you have that silence of
Yeah.
like 1 hour or 2 hours before going to work. Like I
Yeah.
used to just slip like snooze the alarm, and when I wake up, go shower and then go to work, right? That's my usual routine before. That's not working harder on ourselves. Working harder on ourselves is really like waking up earlier in the morning, like let's say an hour before that, maybe doing a exercise, reading the Bible, having writing the journal. That's really working harder because not looking at the phone, not looking at the messages in Facebook, not scrolling, right? That's working harder.
A whole new industry was created because of this concept called work harder on yourself, and that
Mhm.
industry is called personal
Personal
development.
development, yeah.
So what does that mean? Personal development is you develop yourself. How? By changing your perspective first, because the way you think right now is a result. The income you have, the result you have, right, is because of the way you think.
Mhm.
By just changing that perspective, right, long term, right, through repetition, right, your result will also change. What do I mean by that? By reading a book, for example, right, from someone that's successful, for someone that has a different perspective, it changes the way you think about your situation. And the specific examples that people always ask us, you know, what kept you going when you failed in 24 businesses? Like,
Mhm.
what kept you going? It's because of our new perspective, right? We've read a lot of books, a lot of stories, listen to audiobooks of people that are entrepreneurs that have made it. But most of the successful entrepreneurs have gone through many, many failures, and
Mhm.
our perspective has changed because we worked harder on ourselves by reading those type of books, doing audiobooks, right? And our
Perspective.
our perspective and our view of failure has changed. It's not just we failed; it's actually a feedback instead of a failure. That you know what, this is we can learn from this, we can bounce back from this. So again, work harder on yourself first. What's the step? First is ask yourself, how many books have I read for the last 3 months, for the last 6 months, for the last year? Because if you
Mhm.
have not, the scariest thing is that a year from now you will still be the same you.
Mm.
You have not worked hard on yourself. So if you want more income, you cannot have more income, based on the way you think, the way
Right now,
you
yeah.
do right now. You have to be a different way of thinker. You have to act in a different way. You have to have new ideas. That's why work harder on yourself, is more important than working harder in your job. Because if you work hard in your job, yes, you might earn, $1 more, $2 more, maybe, right? But if you have a new perspective, a new way of thinking, you can quantum leap your results, right?
Yeah, because like especially with immigrants, or like for us Filipinos, we were taught to study hard, work hard on your job, become a manager, become, climb up the corporate ladder, and that's not bad, right? But then a lot of people are just stuck with that, right? Like, because for me, like, when we failed in so many businesses, I already thought that maybe I'm not meant for entrepreneurship. Maybe I should get, more education, more degrees, right? But really, he has to ask me, like, like, which one is better, right? Educate, like, the getting the degrees, and that will only give you, like, I don't know, thousands, couple of thousands increase, right? But if you work harder in yourself, in personal development, growing yourself, growing your mind, growing your, like, who you are as a person, it actually quantum leap our income, right? And of course other areas.
I'm just curious, is that us sending a message to someone, or is that someone else?
Maybe our VA.
Oh, yeah. So I'll give you an example of what working harder on yourself will do to you. The reason
Mhm.
I'm here because of one shift of perspective. When I was in transition, I always joke around that I was an engineer, technologist, and I hated my job because I wasn't good at
Mhm.
it. I have a sickness called alarm clockitis. Some of you can relate to that. When your alarm clock goes off, you want to snooze it because you want to sleep a little bit more because you don't want to wake up and go to your job. But then you forgot you snooze it, and it just rings in again. You want to throw this alarm clock because you hate your job. What shift of perspective happened is that my brother gave me a book,
Mhm.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. My mindset, my thought of success, and this was, maybe you were taught the same, to become successful in life financially is
Yeah.
you go to school, get good grades, graduate, and pursue that career, have more further education, and you should have financial success. But this book thought about a different concept, a concept called passive income. Talked about financial education, that you don't have to have you don't even have to graduate high school, but if you educate yourself in finances, right, you'll be financially successful than someone that's even a doctor. It's even because you understand money, because you study money. That
Mhm.
was passive income was new to me. If I didn't read that book, I would not be here today. That shift of simple perspective led me in this pursuit of financial freedom, because in the book it talked about a concept called becoming financially free. That's the first time I heard about that. And the way it was explained, it was so beautiful. It says financial freedom is the ability to move forward without going back to work and changing your lifestyle because you have money coming in without you working. I was like, wow. I was like so blown away. There's such a thing, right? And I hated my job. So I was like, wow, I'd love to have money coming in without me working. And I didn't know it's such a journey, right? To
It's not
learn
easy.
entrepreneurship and all that kind of stuff. But that shift allowed me to go to a different pursuit because I read that book. One book, one perspective could change. It's like a tiny shift could change exactly where you're going. Like it could be one book that could change, one idea in your mind that can get you to the next level, right?
Mhm.
So again, I want to challenge you, right? Ask yourself how many books or maybe audiobooks have you read for the last 3 months? Because if you have not read anything or have a new perspective, then if you want more income, it has to come from a new shift of perspective, right?
Yeah, and also working harder on yourself is why we said, like, to wake up earlier than your usual time, is that you get to really ground yourself and really plan your day, right? Because how you how you start your day is how you what do you mean, how you start your day is how you will have an amazing day. There's so many like knowledge in
Thoughts in
my
your mind.
thoughts in my mind. How would you say
How you start your day?
it?
I forgot.
It's a quote or something. But what I'm saying is that this is what I noticed to myself. If I don't wake up like a little bit earlier than our son, let's say an hour before our son, or like really making the time, I get more irritated. I'm more annoyed, right? I'm easily angered. But if I make the time to for myself, to connect with God, to pray, to exercise, to just for myself, because whether you like it or not, the your day will be busy, your day will be so chaotic. But then if your mind and your heart is fully centered, then you're able to you're able to get ready and just be grateful for the whole day,
So where
right?
did this come from? Again, another shift of perspective. I read in a book, I think it's from Robin Sharma, called The Greatness Guide, that you can increase your willpower.
Mm-hmm.
Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain in front of your head, you can actually increase it, and it will increase your willpower. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean? Right? And how do you do that? Through meditation, through, silence in the morning. So the willpower is your decision making, the
Mm-hmm.
ability to, when somebody yells at you or cuts you off, your ability to used to react, honk at someone, or or if you're like naturally like angry, right? Then you can slowly react, right? Because your willpower has increased through silence and meditation. Or maybe if your weakness is dessert, like me, right? Your automatic reaction of taking that dessert, or now you
Mm-hmm.
can say, oh, maybe not today, or maybe in the morning, right? That's how you, and it's through silence and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And we also read a book called The Miracle Morning. He completely transformed his life in 30 days, just like doing the morning routine of what we call savers. He was the story of this guy is like he almost lost everything, his business and everything. And just by just by doing the saver, silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading and scribing, the six things every morning. And he studied the most successful people, what their morning routine looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and he turned it into an acronym called SAVERS. And in 30 days, he's transformed his life. Again, that came from a book. That came from a book, a shift of perspective. The biggest shift for us was in our finances. The biggest shift, if the biggest shift for us was in our finances when Roxanne picked up a book, right?
Yeah,
The Total
yeah.
Money
The
Makeover.
total money makeover. So the savers routines we shared it in one of our videos before. We got it from the Miracle Morning book, right? And it's because of the we're working harder on ourselves, right? But for the finances, the shift for us is when we read the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, and that really like opened my mind and really changed the way I think about finances. That I have to be a great money manager, managing God's finances. That is not good, right? That is something that, because at the time we were in 86,000 of consumer debts, and we were not in a hurry to pay that off, right? But because of the way it changed our mind about finances, it really, like, it's the reason why we're debt free, we're mortgage free, we're earning the way we earn right now.
Where did it come from? Again, from a book, from a shift of perspective, from working harder on ourselves. Just by reading the book. And again, we increase our income because of the online business, but because of reading the book, we were so intent in paying off our home. Without that influence of that book
Yeah.
and through that tribe, we would not even consider paying off our home
Mhm.
in less than 3 years. It was a shift of perspective, right? And you have got to ask yourself, am I working harder on myself, or am I just working harder on my job, or maybe the things that I do in my business, right? It has to. You are the container, right? You have the content is what you see in your life, right? The container has to grow. You have to be bigger to be able to receive more. And how do you do that? By shifting your perspective. And once you've read something, then you have to put the discipline, because the discipline is the bridge that connects you to that new perspective and to the result that you
Mhm.
want, right?
Hi, Chanel. That's so relatable. Waking up early before our kids do. I've been watching you also so much. I think you've already entered my subconscious. I even dreamt of you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chanel. Hopefully, it was a good dream. Awesome. Hello, Anthony. Hello, Sherilyn from Japan. Binesh, how can I join and do online classes? You can go to our website, daveandroxaneobiso.com. Hello, Pabi from Hong Kong.
So the biggest action step for you to work harder on yourself,
Mhm.
there's two things. Either pick up a book,
Mhm.
a good book,
Oh, there's
or
a
listen
bird.
to an audiobook.
Yeah,
But the key is you have to do this every
consistently. Yeah.
single day consistently. That's the only way you can really change something,
Mhm.
through repetition, right? So, you know, link it with a thing that you do.
Mhm.
So, for example, the one biggest shift that we did, that I did, that completely changed everything for me is when I used to drive at work because I was in sales, instead of listening to to a
Music.
music, I changed it into an audio book because I learned it from another book that I've read, that it's called University on Wheels. If you actually put a good audiobook and listen to one subject, working on yourself for the next 4 years, you will be an expert just driving and listening for the next 4 years. Because imagine how many hours you drive to go to work, right? That small thing that we did, change everything for us. And here's the biggest challenge: when you start working yourself, you won't see the results right away. You won't see it. In fact, you won't see it for a while, right? But you are changing.
Mhm.
You are changing because you're influencing your mind, and eventually, this the slight edge we talked about. I talk about the slight edge all the time. That I listened to an audio today. My friend doesn't. A week from now, you don't see any difference. A month from now, you see the difference. But a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now, you will see the massive difference in income, in results in your life if you continue to do it. So
Yeah, and yeah, next time I'll. Yeah, well, just to add on that,
we're only 17 minutes in.
I know. Yes. Okay, next time.
We'll talk about it next time because
So
we
many.
have a lot to talk about. We're
Okay,
just fired up.
just to end this, we always end this New Day New You videos with with God's word, scriptures from Romans 12 verse 2. It says, "Let God change the way you think, then you will know what He wants you to do."
The way you think, and you have to dive into the Word of God, right? If you
Mhm.
dive into the Word of God, that's another shift of perspective, right? The Bible every single day, right? If you renew your mind daily, your results will also change. So again, going back to our statement for the day, we used to think working hard at our jobs was the key, until we learned this, which is working harder on ourselves. So how? Through a shift of perspective in books, audiobooks, and then taking action on what you've learned consistently. Simple as that. Hope we gave you value. That is another episode of It's
It's
a
a
New
new day.
Day.
It's
It's a
a
new
new
you.
you.
God
God
bless
bless
everybody.
you. Bye.